Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Moran. I'm the author of the Believers superhero novel trilogy, and today we'll be reading chapter 22. I'm going to share my screen, and here we go. Chapter 22, Declaration of War. You idiots, the gang boss screamed at his thug guards. How could you let that kid get past you? Well, he surprised us with a taser, one thug answered. A taser? You have guns. Why didn't you shoot him? It wasn't really a taser, boss, the second thug replied. What do you mean? He shot electricity out of his hands. Are you serious? What is this kid, an alien? The gang boss asked. Don't answer that, the gang boss yelled before his idiot guards attempted to respond. The gang boss in Dynamite City was yelling at everyone after Jerry apprehended Little Red. You could almost see fumes coming out of his head. He could not understand how Jerry Miller pulled it off. He controlled Dynamite City, including all the citizens and police. He ruled with an iron fist and a smoking gun, threatening and killing anyone who opposed him. Yet he had no control over Jerry, and it infuriated him. Hey, boss, why don't we go to his house and kill him? One thug asked. We already tried that, damn it. The gang boss slammed his fist on the table out of frustration and then continued. I can't believe some stupid kid comes on my turf twice and does whatever he wants. As he continued ranting, a female gang member walked into the room with an envelope. When the gang boss looked over at her, she quietly walked up, gave it to him, and then left. He opened it and found a letter inside, written by Little Red. Dear Clyde, my days are numbered, and I want you to have this in case something happens to me. I knew I shouldn't have gone after that kid, even though you told me to. My girls and I shot bullets at him, but they did nothing. I shot his father 3 times, saw him dying in front of me, and that kid somehow saved his life. I know he'll come after me eventually. I saw fire in his eyes as he blasted me out of the house. He wanted revenge. So I gotta tell you something before it's too late. I love you, and if you really care about the gang, then let it go. Stop chasing this kid. It's not worth it. He'll destroy everything, even you. Your boo, Gabriella. Clyde screamed in rage and frightened everyone in the room. He looked maniacal with his bloodshot eyes, wild dreadlocks flailing about, and veins popping out in frustration. He grabbed his knife and looked as if he was about to do something terrifying and drastic. He yelled out, Get everyone in here now! Gang members ran outside and gathered everyone they could for an emergency meeting with the boss. A few minutes later, most of the gang members had arrived, and Clyde stood on top of a table for everyone to see. He wore his infamous purple jacket, black shirt, black dress pants, and steel-toed boots. He waved his knife around the room and began his speech. Listen up, everyone. We've got a punk problem on our turf. Jerry Miller is causing us trouble, and last night he took Little Red. He took one of our own. I'm done with it. This kid dies tomorrow. You hear me? Tomorrow. Everyone in the room cheered, all except one girl wearing a black jacket. She seemed troubled by what was happening around her. The gang boss noticed her and called her out. Hey, you, the girl hiding in the crowd, come up here. The girl tried ignoring him, pretending she did not know he was talking to her. That angered Clyde further, and he yelled, Bring that girl to me now. 2 thugs grabbed her immediately, forced her to the front of the crowd. Clyde hopped down from the table, approached her face to face, and asked, Why aren't you cheering like everybody else? She looked petrified, and Clyde screamed, Answer me! The girl stuttered and said, I don't think we should go after him. Clyde's nostrils flared up. His eyes widened, and he calmly asked, Why not? The girl hesitantly replied. Because he's scary and strong and dangerous. Little Red told us to stay away from him at all costs. Clyde put his lips next to her ear and whispered, Is that all? She said. Yes, the girl responded with a quivering voice. Suddenly, she coughed up blood all over Clyde's shoulder. Her body jolted several times as he repeatedly stabbed her in the stomach with his knife and screamed, She was weak! She was trash! She's the reason Jerry Miller's alive! We don't have room for weakness! And you, and anyone else who opposes me will die! Clyde stabbed her one last time and let her body drop to the floor. His clothing was completely covered in blood that began to pool on the floor and spread across the room. Everyone stepped back in fear and disgust. Clyde climbed back on top of the table and looked at everyone. They were deathly silent and scared to breathe. Clyde continued his speech. Now here's what we're going to do. Everyone start recruiting new gang members immediately. Go up to all those who look strong, threaten them with anything you can, and if they say no, rob them and their families. Take everything but their lives. They'll crawl back and beg to join us. When you're done recruiting, spread the word that Dynamite City is going up in flames tomorrow night, unless Jerry Miller shows up. When he comes here, we're going to kill him, once and for all. All the gang members did as they were ordered and carried out the plan. Meanwhile, Clyde made deals with the police and bribed them to help or look the other way when they encountered Jerry Miller the next night. As word about Dynamite City quickly spread in the streets, a certain someone heard the news. Detective Sanchez. He was not at all happy about Jerry Miller. In the past, Detective Sanchez had been a top cop, working hard and climbing the ranks of the police force. He thought highly of himself and insinuated to others that he could easily replace Captain Grimes. When Jerry Miller arrived, however, his progress slowed down greatly. In fact, Detective Sanchez felt like a pawn used to further Jerry's career. If he could get rid of Jerry, then all his problems would disappear. With that in mind, Detective Sanchez called the Dynamite City police station and asked to speak with the gang boss. Clyde picked up the phone and answered with an annoyed tone. Why is a cop calling me from another city? We have a shared interest, Detective Sanchez replied. I don't got time for this. Make time. Give me one reason, Clyde responded with attitude. Jerry Miller. All right, I'm listening. We both want him out of the way, Detective Sanchez reasoned, and it just so happens that I know exactly who can help. Who? The city streets. The city streets are full of bums and war veterans who desperately need money. I'll send them over to you with weapons and ammo. Make a deal, and they'll help us both. Clyde was overjoyed because this twist of fate furthered his malicious plan. He grinned for a moment, then recomposed himself and asked, If you're a cop, why do you want to help me kill a hero? One man's demise is another man's fortune. My people will arrive in Dynamite City tonight, so good luck. Detective Sanchez ended the conversation and hung up the phone. Later that night, Jerry left the hospital and returned to headquarters. Captain Grimes was waiting for him and delivered the worst tongue lashing ever. Jerry, do you know what I've been dealing with for the past 12 hours? When Jerry didn't respond, the captain continued. I've got government agencies, news reporters, and lawyers asking me how Little Red appeared in my police station. Dynamite City is clearly out of our jurisdiction. Do you know how many lies and strings I had to pull to keep us out of trouble? We were almost shut down because you couldn't follow orders. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, Captain Grimes screamed again. Cops do this kind of crap all the time, and I usually fire them. You can't be running around like a vigilante. You gotta follow protocol. I'm sorry, Captain. I just had to. I know you want revenge for your father. But that's not what we do as cops. Our job is to protect people and save lives. We don't hunt down criminals to settle a grudge. Jerry remained silent because he knew the captain was right. Jerry initially went after Little Red for revenge. It was only after seeing the memories of the old man and others that he became motivated to catch her for the right reasons. He looked at the ground and felt ashamed that he let his feelings cloud his judgment and caused so much trouble for Captain Grimes. After taking a breather, Captain Grimes looked at Jerry and realized he made his point. He also felt he had gone a bit overboard in yelling at Jerry. He's still young, a brand new cop learning the ropes, he thought. He took a seat in his office chair, waited for Jerry to look up, and said, "You did the right thing by saving your family. Kidnapping Little Red was wrong. I covered it up this time, but there won't be a next time if this happens again. So listen to me very carefully. Never step foot in Dynamite City or anywhere out of our jurisdiction ever again. Are we clear?" "Yes, sir," Jerry replied. "You're dismissed," Captain Grimes concluded and returned to his paperwork. Jerry walked out of the captain's office with mixed feelings. He went to his room and lay in bed for a while, mulling over everything and wondering how to be a hero. I knew Little Red was hurting people and had to be stopped, but maybe I did it the wrong way. Instead of doing everything alone, I need to learn how to trust and work with others. I should have trusted Captain Grimes and told him my plan, but I was worried he'd say no. Then again, maybe he would have come up with a better plan. Regardless, I can't get hung up on my mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and become a better hero. Jerry's thoughts drifted for a bit, and surprisingly, he fell asleep with a smile. His last mental image was of his father wrapping an arm around his shoulder, and feeling proud of him. The next day was relatively normal for Jerry. He trained and did his usual routines. However, he did notice cops keeping their distance from him, and he did not know why. About 4 p.m., after training, Jerry snuck around headquarters and used his super hearing to eavesdrop on other people's conversations. What he heard from two police officers was shocking. "Have you heard about Dynamite City?" one officer asked. "Yeah, it's a mess out there, and it's only getting worse," the second officer answered. "Oof, you're telling me. I heard gang activities on the rise, and supposing the whole city would go up in flames unless you know who shows up. Has anyone told him?" "No way!" the first officer whispered loudly. "The captain would kill us if Jerry found out. He doesn't want anyone going near Dynamite City after the fiasco with Little Red." Jerry made a decision and immediately went looking for Vaughn. He knew Captain Grimes would never let him return to Dynamite City, but he thought that maybe Vaughn could help. Coincidentally, Vaughn found Jerry and already knew what he wanted, as if he could hear Jerry's thoughts. "I know what you want to do, Jerry, and it's a terrible idea," Vaughn said preemptively. "What do you mean?" Jerry asked. "You're going to Dynamite City, aren't you?" "Yeah." "How'd you know?" "Don't worry about that," Vaughn said dismissively. "Just think about Dynamite City for a second. You know it's a trap, right?" "Vaughn, I don't have a choice. I overheard other cops saying the city's going to burn if I don't show up. I know how those gang members operate. They shoot first and ask questions later. They mean business." "Jerry, you might very well die if you go there. It's practically a suicide." Jerry was silent for a moment, trying to find something to say that would make sense. But he knew Vaughn was right. Looking at his friend desperately, he said, "I know your father won't help me, but I trust you. You know all about police tactics. Maybe you can come up with a plan." Vaughn looked at Jerry and knew he was serious. He also figured Jerry would go in alone and get himself killed if he did not help. He looked at Jerry with complete sincerity and said, "Okay, I've got a few ideas, but I need time to get things together." "Whew, thank you so much, Vaughn." Jerry shook Vaughn's hand and went to his room. He jumped into bed and took a nap until Vaughn was ready to go. He knew he needed all his energy before entering Dynamite City. 2 hours later, Vaughn knocked on his door with a plan, everything needed, including weapons, body armor, and so forth. Before they departed, however, Cynthia made a surprise telephone call to Jerry. "Hey, Jerry, how's everything going?" Good, I guess. Just doing my training thing." Jerry sounded insecure, and Cynthia could tell something was wrong. Is everything okay? She asked. Jerry did not respond to her question. What's wrong, Jerry? Please tell me. I'm about to do something stupid, but I have to do it. I've got no choice, Jerry answered. What are you talking about? Cynthia asked. Just know that I love you, and if something happens to me, I'm sorry. Jerry, what are you? Jerry ended the call and turned off his phone immediately. He did not have the heart to give her any more details. He knew she would try to convince him not to do it, and God forbid if his parents called next. He accepted his fate with no regrets and teleported away with Fawn. And that's it. That's the end of chapter 22. I hope you all enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll join me for the next video. Thank you all very much.